Good afternoon, class. Today I will be going over information on why it is important to collect and manage data on an obesity program that I will be presenting to you in our community that is needed for our children. The information I believe we will need to make sure our obesity programs run correctly is first, when it comes to data and collecting information, all employees needs to be trained correctly so they know how to construct all exams that will be given to the patients. They will need to gather all the information on how many students in the community are actually obese. And then they will need to gather numbers to make sure the right program is planned so it will work out best for our kids that are obese in the community and for keeping kids in the near future becoming obese that may not be obese. When it comes to making sure programs work, each health community leader will need to make sure they follow all rules and regulations that the state requires. Reason being, because we are dealing with youth here and children, and if exams are not performed correctly, then usually laws are unbroken, and that becomes with lawsuits and other bad things may occur. So it is always very, very important for each health educator to follow the rules and guidelines stated by the law. When it comes to learning how this program will work best, each health educator will be taught program trainings, as in collecting the right data, making sure the students have properly prepared themselves, making sure that each health educator knows exactly what they are doing before the tests or exams are given out. My last point for this collecting and managing data is usually when it comes to collecting and managing data for programs, there's a thing called trial and error, where you give exams to see how they will work, and once you learn how they work, that's how you get trial and error. Because you learn what worked, you learn what didn't work, and that's what usually comes when you are trying out programs in communities. So the next time you run the program again, you will be able to know what to use and what not to use. Now, technology is a big thing that is involved in pretty much everything we do nowadays in our world. So, the technology things we will implement and devices we will use to gather this information will, of course, be a computer. And we will use this device that a lot of people are using now to manage their daily health intake, which is called a Fitbit. So we will use a Fitbit for each child while monitoring their health through this fitness program. The device has a lot of different categories and bases that can be used throughout your day. For example, it will track the students or youth's steps every day, their heart rate, their blood pressure, and their daily calories of intakes of food that they will be consuming on a daily basis. Now, for this device to work properly, students have to, youth and students have to wear this device all day on their wrists so we can track their daily intake of all that information that was covered. If the device is not used properly, we will be able to know because it will be able to track the hours from when the device was being used by the peer student or not. To be able to get the most accurate data, of course, you will need to make sure the device is working correctly and teach the students to keep the device on at all times. Computer, after gaining all that information, we will use the computer to get all the results, the numbers, tally it all up, and come up with an Excel sheet that gives us graphs and gives us a chart to show on what kids need to do to not become obese or stay from becoming obese. And that's what this Fitbit device will do for us, and that's how we will get our accurate numbers from the computer. So lastly, to make sure all ethicals and principles are kept up to par, to make this program work for the community and for the youth as a whole, again, we have to make sure the fitness program is well sought out and researched and valid information from accredited sources that is going to be able to train all employees on how to run the program correctly. Secondly, we have to make sure that each program is taught to the youth correctly. And lastly, we have to make sure each health educator is reaching out to every student and respecting them no matter their physical or personal health background they come from, to where each youth feels comfortable with doing this program and not feel like they're being judged, and reaping the benefits of how this program will help them only in the long run. Thank you.